Welcome to another edition of Bear Down with Brian Jeffries. That would be me. The gentleman next to me is Clancy Shields, head men's tennis coach at the University of Arizona. Clancy, the 2019 Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Wildcats made the NCAA tournament in 2019 for the first time since 2010, and they were on their way this year. They had an 11-3 record, had just beaten Fresno State, were scheduled to play Pepperdine, and then, of course, all spring sports came to an end. And I know, Clancy, that was a tough time for everybody. How did you – well, first of all, I want to know about you, your staff, and your players, how everybody's doing now. I hope everybody's safe and well.
Yeah, everyone's doing well, and I think that's the most important thing. Most of our players have been able to go home. You know, I think that was a big concern for us initially because a lot of our players are international. And, you know, what does that look like back in their home countries, and what is the plan to get them home? And so I think in about 5 days we'll have everybody back home with their families, and you know, they'll put our us at ease a little bit, knowing that they're safe and they're with their families.
I mean, of course, a pandemic like this has never happened in our lifetime. So when the news hit and you guys were on the road, how did you break it to their players, and what was that like?
Yeah, I think we kind of we ended up, we're going to take a long 9-day spring break trip in California, and we ended up actually driving, because we brought the whole team, and once Indian Wells tennis tournament got canceled, I think it really hit our guys that this was real. And so they kind of knew it was coming down the pike a little bit. And, as bad as it sounds, those last few days were really sweet. I felt like the kids really were enjoying every minute of being together, about being on this team and about playing matches, practicing. And it was kind of we kind of knew our last match was Pepperdine, and we talked about it. Guys, I think this is going to be our last match of the season, and go lay everything on the court. And unfortunately, it started raining as we were about to hit the first ball.
Oh, really?
And, about 30 minutes later, they told us our season was canceled. So it was a little bummer. We didn't get a finish there at the end, but those last few days were really sweet with the team. It was really unique and fun for us to be together and to kind of go through this and understand all this together. And we ended up going to Yosemite Park a few days before, which was awesome. Very fun and cool experience. And then, I don't know how many teams got to actually spend a day with their group before, after the news broke. And so, we drove back from LA and I think it was just a fun car ride home. The team really enjoyed each other and really brought us closer together.
Is that one of the keys behind your team's success? I want to go back to last season. You had a great season last season. As I mentioned, you're off to a great start this season. Obviously, the chemistry is outstanding with your team. What has brought about this success that you've been building?
Yeah, I think talent-wise, we've been maybe behind our ranking in some respects, and I think now our talent is where it needs to be a contending for a national championship type program. But I think the big piece of the program has always been, this is the brotherhood. This is the family, and you don't want to let your teammates down. You don't want to let your family down. And it really has started with kind of our unique senior. He was one of the first kids I ever talked to when I got offered this job, Alejandro Riguand. And he's really, shown what it's like to be a brother to these players on the team, and showing that he cares more about them as people than as tennis players. And, I think it sounds corny and all, but there's a really strong bond and love between these guys and the coaches in this program. And, for some people it sounds very corny, but, the guys always say, man, I love you, man. I'll miss you. I'll see you soon. And I love you, brother. I think there's something strong and powerful about those words and how the team feels about each other. And, they fight like junkyard dogs when they're in the midst of the battle, because they genuinely care a lot about each other.
It's interesting as coaches recruit new players, and of course you always want them to fit with your existing team. How much do you put into that? And you look at their talent, obviously, and their academics, etc. But how much do you put into building that family atmosphere when you bring a new player into the program?
Absolutely. I think everybody's going to learn a heck of a lot in their first few months, being on a team. Tennis is a super individualistic sport. So everybody learns a lot in those first few months, how to, put the team before yourself. But I think at the end of the day, we just try to recruit great kids, kids who are humble, who are, have great characteristics about them that, you want to be around, that you wake up in the morning and you can't wait to get to the office to be around those guys. And I think that's the biggest piece of the puzzle is finding the kids that you really love being around and who you plan to spend the next 4 or 5 years with. And I think we've done a really good job with that. And in some cases, the progress for some of our kids has been really fast in understanding what this culture is. And for some kids, it's taken a little bit longer. But for us, when they end up getting to the point we want them to get to in our team culture, that's the beauty of it all, is that we've kind of grinded on each other. We've butted heads a bunch, and all of a sudden they start seeing it from your side and why it's so important we do it this way. And then we start just collaborating and working together. And so that's part of the process we love. And with everyone, it's, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and now a super seniors, I guess. It's a different journey.
You have a very young team. And so as we project ahead to 2021 now, where do you see the program? What's the next step?
Yeah, I know it sounds lofty, but we want to win a national championship. And I think in the past few years, we were talking about making the NCAA tournament, something we hadn't done, hosting the NCAA tournament. But as I told the guys at the end of this is really part two of this journey. I mean, this season is only going to lead us into next season. And I think there's a really overwhelming sense of, what the guys want to accomplish for next year. And being in that conversation of winning a national championship, I think the guys' sights are set on that. And that's a heck of a goal to chase after. And I think everybody is invested into making that happen. And whatever happens, I think if we pursue after that goal, with passion and joy and all the things that we want to do, chasing after that, I think it will be a success.
When did the tennis bug first get to you? When did the sport take hold in your life?
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And, back then we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, TVs, the internet. And so my parents just picked up tennis as an activity our family would do together. And so, a couple nights a week, we'd all go to the park courts or the college courts, and we would just hang out as a family. And I think that is kind of the way you do it in anything in sports, is find what your kids are really passionate about and interested in. And luckily for me, I've some great parents who knew that we had a love for the game, and it started growing from there. And I think my parents always said they had a red garage door, and my brother and I would always be hitting against it. And once all the red paint came off the garage door, they knew that maybe we were serious about the sport and tried to get us more opportunities. But I think it just starts with the love of the game, and it is a really beautiful game. If you played it, I know a lot of people like golf, but tennis is one of these things where if you hit it right, I mean, you kind of get hooked on it, and you want to learn the game, and it's a pretty intricate game and a lot of challenges.
So when you were growing up, who did you idolize on the pro tennis circuit?
Yeah, I liked watching everybody. I think I just looked up to my older siblings a lot. I enjoyed watching them play. I remember, watching them play their high school matches. And I think really just watching my older brothers and my sister play tennis were really what inspired me to go do it. Pete Sampras was one of my favorites growing up. Andre Agassi, of course. I think my brother and I would always go out and play against each other, and we'd pick a professional tennis player and kind of try to play like them. But yeah, Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi were definitely two of the guys that were inspirational growing up.
So nobody wanted to be John McEnroe, I guess.
Yeah, I think my parents were trying to keep me away from watching that guy too much. But no, Agassi and Sampras were pretty fun duo to watch. They were entertaining.
So fantasy match, you can go out and play against any tennis player, either current, retired, or whatever. Just go out for fun. What would be your dream match on a court?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Maybe I don't get into those that type of stuff. I really just enjoy going out and playing against our team, and those guys are pretty. I think playing each one of our guys is actually more fun than playing some of those fantasy matches because they really bring out the best in you and they challenge you as a coach, and you don't want to lose to your players. And so right now I'm just having fun playing against our guys and chasing against time, because the older you get, the further away you get from your skill set, and the better they get. And so currently I'm just enjoying playing our players and trying to see how long I can still challenge them.
Okay, so now that's interesting because a lot of coaches in different sports don't actually still play the sport. So you're telling me that during practice you go out and play against your own players. Is that part of coaching, or is it just it's something fun to kind of let loose with?
Well, I like doing it because it obviously helps me as a coach to understand how they play, their strengths, their weaknesses, what it actually looks like on the opposite side of the net. But also I just, I think you've been playing sports your whole life. You're as competitive as I am. You just want to put it on the line. And, as I tell the players is once I step on the court as a player, I'm no longer the coach, and I want you to treat it in that sense. And it's actually funny. A few days before our season was over, I was actually playing against one of our players, and we were going at each other pretty hard. And, but at the end of it, we both gave each other a big hug, and we're like, sorry, man, we're both competitive people. And we actually, it actually helped our relationship, I think, quite a bit. But I like going out there. My assistants are unbelievable tennis players. But I think it also gives the guys the opportunity to go out and kick our butts. And I think that's kind of cool for them as well.
All right. You mentioned your assistants, and the sign of an outstanding program is when those assistants move on, and Alex Free is now the head coach at Idaho State. That had to be a big thrill for him, and says a lot about your program to see him advance.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. One of the younger Division I head coaches in the country, maybe the youngest, and he's earned it. Yeah, I always think it's interesting when you get a volunteer coach who's not getting paid to do it, but just loves it and wants to be a coach and puts his heart and soul into it. And after his first year here, he had a lot of jobs, even head coaching jobs at good schools, and he turned it down to come back and be a part of our program volunteering for a second year. And I just asked him, why would you turn down a paid position, a really good job to do this? And he says he believes in what we're doing. And I think that is one of the greatest compliments for our program, is to have someone turn down, a paid position to come volunteer your time to make our team great. And we're forever indebted to him, and I'm so happy to see him move on and be, a head coach. And I know he's going to do really well. So we're excited for him. We're going to miss him. But I think the cool thing with coaching is that when you do end up leaving, a big piece of what you gave those kids is still with them forever. The coaching, the impact that you had on them. And so Alex's legacy will be, here for a long time.
Okay. Clancy, what are you doing around the house now? I mean, everybody's working from home, and I know you spend time like we are here on Zoom meetings, whatever, with your players and your coaches, but everybody's got to kind of let loose. What do you do for fun around the house right now? Yeah,
well, my wife is currently doing the CRNA doctorate program at the U of A. So she's actually at home, going to school full time. And so she's got a honey-do list of things for me pretty much every day, which is good. It's been actually good for our relationship too, because we've never really had this time at this time of the year to ever spend time together. And I think you try to look at the positives and all of the things that are going on here. And, you try to, expand, who you are as a person. And I'm trying to look at it in that way of what can I do to get to better myself, better my relationships with other people, my wife. And that comes from doing a lot of chores around the house. Obviously it's been nice to get outside and do, yard work and to cook every day and to be able to do some of those things. But it's been fun. We're going to have 4 Swedish speaking players on our team next year. So for my birthday, my mother-in-law got me a Rosetta Stone, and I'm learning Swedish right now. So I'm about 10 hours into the program, and that's my summer goal, is to learn the language of some of our players.
All right, very good. Well, I know great family at the U of A, all the coaches, administrators, and so on. And not an easy time, but I just get the impression the support amongst everyone is strong right now, and we look forward to everybody being back together soon.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I think it's been really unique talking to my coaching friends that they, you know, hearing what's going on at their schools and what's going on here and what our administration's doing, how they're communicating with all of us, and kind of the plan they've set forth is really unique. And I think we're really lucky, you know, to work here. And you know, when all of this passes, I think all of us are going to work that much harder to make Arizona the very best place in the country.
Clancy, thanks very much. Best of luck, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Clancy Shields, head men's tennis coach at the University of Arizona. That's Bear Down with Brian Jeffries, and we'll see you again next week.